Oh, hi everybody. Welcome to the stream for some Gems of Warzy goodness. I know it's been a while, I missed all you guys. But I figured, what better time to start the fun than when I get back from a nice little vacation. So, hey everybody. So figured I would get some faction assaults in, do my sigils for my raid boss fight, all that other good old fun stuff. So this is the team that I've been using for the good old fight here for the raid boss. It's pretty legit, honestly. I can't really complain about it. It seems to be doing everything I want it to do. 50% mana starts, Meng for some smashy. It's a good old time. We got Tacit up in the channel, so everybody give some high fives to Tacit. Make sure you check out his stream later, of course. This is what I get for doing this event without upgrading my actual troop dude over there. So I've left this guy basically like epic level, which is gonna make him kinda suck a little bit, but that's fine. We'll deal with the suckiness. So of course right now I'm just fishing for brown mana because I want my barriers. I want them so badly. I'm gonna hope that brown comes down. There's a barrier. So yay for us. And then we'll get Leprechaun popping a little more. After we pop some of this guy. Good old times. I mean, I really don't have a reason to be shooting Mang off again. Yay for matching gems. Don't quite have Mirage Queen. I kinda do, but not really. We'll just go another round of Leprechaun. See, this is a good reason why you would potentially want to put Leprechaun under Mr. Birchman over there. I could totally see a case to be made for that. I may end up doing that. Because this is not fun. I don't want to let this go too long, of course. You don't want that sad guy over there to go. But I think I'm gonna just be reckless and do that because I got my barrier up. And then we'll do this. And then we're in the mana deny game, so make sure that they don't get their birdiness, so we don't have to watch them run away. I mean, sure, let's just whack him with good old Mang again. And then smashy. So I haven't lost any, birds haven't lost any fights with this team just yet. I think I'm relatively, what are we at? So he's at like level 130 right now. Nothing crazy. So we'll just pop this guy. And I'm gonna let that stay on the board so I can take the skull. Barriers is just fine. That's also fine. And there's none of that. Let's take that. So much mana. Alright. Chat, you're so quiet. I don't know what's the deal here. I think I clearly need to wake everybody up a little bit. Hey guys. Sorry, I didn't mean to offend you with the call out on the silence. My bad. I just felt lonely, you know? I just wanted some love. I'm a very needy individual. If you guys are quiet for too long, I just become a sad man. Yeah, that's Mirage Queen down there, which is useful for a couple of reasons. So, Birchthorn is elemental, so this will give him a 50% mana start, and then it also just happens to enable Mang to do some crazy smashy. So, I am going to adjust that a little bit though, because I don't want a situation where Birchthorn is kind of like struggling to get mana. So this should probably be a little bit better. Gonna go with that. Now we got our barrier up, we've got our person with full mana already. This is like already a very happy scenario. So at this point it's really just a matter of getting people their mana and then hurting the boss. So since the new troop does the Entangle Fun stuff, I can kind of leave this here. Even though I have barrier anyway, he can just waste this with his Entangle, so I'm kind of like double protected at this point. So it's good times from that point of view. Yeah, I mean, sure. We'll just do that. That is a very reckless move, by the way. I don't recommend anybody else does that. It's just one of those things that I would do. Because sometimes you just gotta be reckless. And apparently give them like every gem match on the planet. Just for funsies. Yeah, I'll do the team code right here. This is actually the same team that I put in my weekly preview video as well, so if you were fishing for that, you can always snag like whatever the event teams that I end up using. They're usually my weekly preview videos as well. I'm trying to get a lot better at doing that. I used to just kind of like mention the fact that there was an event going on without actually giving out any kind of team codes or team guidance, so that's definitely something I want to remedy. So that's the team code for this one. This is the scenario that I hate, where I have to just keep getting rid of the 4/5s because I just want to make sure that they don't get them, but I had perfect alignment for what I wanted to do. See, now all my greens are gone. It makes me a sad man. Ah, but that was beautiful. Don't like that. Let's just blow up the bird for good times. Hurt that guy. And kill Zul. And we win. And everybody happy. You can go ahead and remember that we got a good old wheel to spin. As an update on my whole redeem code situation, so I did get in trouble from Salty for giving away too many redeem codes, so I should have lesson learned on that one. So I've been put on like a semi probation, not from getting codes, but basically I'm not gonna get new ones until it's like the end of the month kind of a thing. Well, at the start of the next month I should say, which makes sense. So lesson learned there. I'll probably have to be a little stingier with redeem codes, unfortunately, but I still have them. So no worries on that front. I mean, sure, let's just kill Zul. I keep trying to be so clever, and it's kind of like I should just kill the guy at this point. Don't really care. I mean, sure, just do that. And then that. Hooray for us. Yeah, I'm finding that all the events in general these days are actually a lot easier than I believe they used to be, and I don't entirely know if that's like placebo or not, but I feel like the last handful of events, like whether it's been Tower of Doom or kind of anything, I really haven't been struggling to make teams that are quite effective, and I don't think that's because I've magically gotten like insanely better at team building or anything like that. It just kind of feels like we have enough tools at our disposal at this point in time that it's really not all that complicated to make effective teams anymore. I almost wonder if they're gonna have to balance around that, just knowing that it's kind of like potentially going to become too easy to make very effective teams. Now that we have so many tools at our disposal, I wouldn't be shocked if they're kind of like forced to rebalance something about these events if it just becomes farm mode for pretty much everybody. But I'm starting to get that sense that we're like kinda there. Or maybe it's just like lately the events just have happened to be easier because of the types of event troops or the restriction types that are out there. Oh, boo. I don't have that. Let's do that. I want to pop Mirage Queen so badly, because there's really no reason to be doing anything else at this point. There we go. Pop! Yeah, definitely the trick when it comes to events like this, whenever you're running a class that's like Titan and requires barriers, kind of always prioritize your barriers. So like even if you could be doing some kind of epic thing, if you're leaving yourself open without a barrier, you're kind of potentially throwing away the game in that capacity. So kind of always make sure, like, if there's no safe thing to do out here, like try and grab your barrier so that way when you hand over your turn you don't just potentially lose. Because this team without your hero in it is not going to be a good time. So definitely so like right now, for instance, I'm sitting without a barrier, so like when I pop this Leprechaun, this could potentially be a bad time. So like this is what I'm exactly telling you not to do. Unfortunately, we only had to take that in response, so that's really not that bad. That was just stupid lucky. But I'm kind of in this exposed state right now, so I'm trying more than anything to try and get some brown matches going on. Fortunately, it ends so quickly it doesn't even matter, but something you want to avoid when you're doing these kinds of events. I'm pretty sure I'm going to try and make like a gem matching strategy video, honestly, because I think that's something I haven't really seen covered before. But there's certain things about like recognizing patterns for 4 or 5 matches and just like when to try and take advantage of storms, when not to, like how to anticipate gem falls, that kind of stuff. I don't know if a lot of people are doing those kinds of things, and I think for events, certainly like Guild Wars is where that's going to be the most obvious, like where that skill set is going to get tested the most. Because I think that's where when people use teams that I've potentially made and they don't have as much success, I think that's coming down to potentially gem matching strategy execution from that point of view. So I think that deserves a video on its own. I am not going to take a snowball to the face. I am going to kill that guy. I guess we'll kill Zool. Why not? He looked at me funny. He has to go. Sure. And then Mirage Queen for the win. Bam. There's just something so satisfying about creating a trillion Doom Skulls and then watching everybody die. It's probably why the Doom weapons are so especially fun to use in PvP and stuff like that. Wow. Round and around the wheel goes. Don't want to... So, like, this is another one, for instance. Like, whenever you see this pattern, like, 2 and 2 like this, you always look below them for the match. So, like, this blue, if I pull it, is going to make this a 4 match. I know that might seem obvious to a lot of people, but I don't know if everybody does that kind of stuff. So, it's kind of like, whenever you see that scenario, your eyes should always immediately go below the hanging gems there to see if you can pull it down so you can get that match like that. It's that kind of stuff. That's really, like, it seems like such a minor thing, but, like, it could be the difference between a win and a loss depending on what you're doing. So I strongly, strongly advise you start to, like, build that muscle memory as far as pattern recognition. It's a big deal. Unadvised Leprechaun. Yeah, we get away with it. Dead. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Alright. We're fine. We're fine. So now I have the choice of either hitting this guy and taking another skull, which is kind of fine at the level that I'm at right now, but I could also just do this actually and entangle him. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all like philosophical on you guys. It's just, to me, it's an important thing. My goal is to make you all the best possible Gems of War players you could possibly be. I'm not doing my job if I don't say this stuff, you know? Ah, whatever. Let's just pop it. Ah. All out of those. Oh no. Actually, how far, I feel like we're at that rewards here. Oh, we are like right there. That's sad times. Jump into some faction assaults. Only gotten it up to 60 so far, so we're in like murder mode. So this team is pretty similar to what I think Tasset was showing on his, actually, where I think he has double Gob Truffle and Hero down here with like a Shegra's Heart, for instance. That team is definitely extremely solid, so by all means use that. This version of the team is definitely something that I use more just because the speed of it is a little faster at the start. But I could easily see this potentially having scaling issues, because once you get the team rolling, it has a very similar playstyle to the other one. The difference is that you do put yourself in scenarios sometimes where you need to choose if you're going to like potentially eat some things in return, so it's not necessarily as reliable, but it's potentially a little more dynamic or interesting from that point of view. So I like it, because whenever I can use a Doom weapon, that's always kind of my thing. I'm gonna use it if I can, because they're just so darn fun. Is everyone pumped for the new patch that's coming out in the not overly distant future? It actually looks like it's pretty cool, so if folks didn't see it, it's going to be introducing some new stuff as far as kingdom levels going up, and there's like a whole new deed system being added, challenges are getting updated, like there's some pretty interesting, compelling stuff going on in the future update. I'll make a video about it, of course, once it's like actually out there, but they've started to reveal some details about it, so it's going to be pretty fun. They claimed it's going to take us like 6 months to a year, I believe I saw, to get your kingdoms up to 15, which will be the eventual new max. I'm very curious to see if that actually plays out properly. Since they're being doled out, like the resource you use to level them are these things called deeds, since they rolled them out in the adventure board, it sounds like they could artificially limit the pace of that. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. But anytime they make a change like that, it's always a good time, because the last thing you want is the game to feel like stale, stagnant, anything like that. So the fact that they've like taken consideration to what's going on, try to make the game a little more interesting, dynamic, I'm all about it. And you have no idea how excited I am that Crab Rave just came on. I'm such a sad person. It's the littlest things that get me excited. I also feel like I've never seen chat be this quiet before. I don't know what to make of this. Everyone's such an exhibitionist today, they're just like watching me do my thing. It's definitely something in the water. What's going on, guys? There we go. Apparently I just need to like poke you every now and then to get you guys to pipe out. I feel like, what was it, like Jeb Bush in the presidential debates where he's like, please clap. Like, I feel like I'm that guy right now. It's like, please say something. I love you. I mean, kind of don't need to worry about the skull so much. We'll do that. Hey, man. Glad you joined the guild. Welcome aboard. And checking out my stream, so you're obviously a good guildie. Maybe it's the redeem code that you're all after. You're just thirsty for them codes. If I don't give it out, then you're gonna just revolt. Yeah, this team is really fun, honestly. Like, it's, anytime I can use a Doom weapon, it's a good time, but, like, it just kind of naturally synergizes with itself anyway. since the Gobtruffle guy's creating browns, like the browns just feed into Doomglaive. Doomglaive kind of helps keep the Leaf Storm going on top of it, plus it entangles. So there's a lot of good things going on with this team. Again, Leprechaun's in there really just to get it started. The one thing that I'd have to deal with on this team potentially is if I get like affected badly as far as debuffs go, since I have no cleanse in this kind of a team. But it's totally fine. So this is another pattern that I keep talking about, since I'm just going to apparently harp on gem matching strategy. So when you see this pattern, like an open space in between these browns, you look above it, and you see, is there some way I can get this brown to drop down here? And of course the answer here is yes. So like, I could pop Leprechaun here, but the better move is to do that first, and then go about your business. So it's like, again, keep your eyes open for that kind of pattern recognition stuff. Super mad that that guy took those greens. I wanted to make them more greens. They ruined my life. There we go. I was like, I feel like there's gotta be alignment in there somewhere. Do that. Yeah, I think the hardest part about that video, honestly, is just going to be the making of it, because it's kind of like, I'll need to do a lot of prep work ahead of time to find these kinds of scenarios. Like, I can't just do it live in a recording. I'm going to have to definitely plan out, here's the scenarios I want to teach, and then make sure I run into those scenarios, record them, all that kind of fun stuff. So that video will definitely take a little bit of prep time. Oh my god. I can't even imagine trying to play against 3 accounts like that. Like, just leveling up my Switch to get to the Soulforge so I could tell people what's going on in the Soulforge on the Switch was maddening. Like, just playing again from like the start, having no troops really worth talking about. It was brutal. I can't imagine trying to keep up across many platforms. And I play a lot. So, kudos to you if you can somehow pull it off. I definitely do not think I would be able to pull that off. I also feel like playing with the controller would be really rough. Like, so much of the game's pace kind of like, it's all about point and clicking, so like, having to depend on a controller to kind of like manually scan around to get to the gems that I want, that feels like it would be really slow. But I guess like all things, you'd probably get used to it. Just feels like it would suck. Obviously it's not impossible, because I imagine tons of people do it, but it doesn't feel like the way I would prefer to play, let me put it that way. See, this is also a really bad Leprechaun board. I'm gonna save it. Oh! Saving it was apparently the best decision on the planet. What the hell? Yeah, I could see how that would become way too much. I mean, that's awesome that the skills that you picked up from Puzzle Quest like translated over. I mean, I guess like if you play a lot of match 3 kind of games, like where it's this cascading style versus like you know, like switching style, like, because I'm sure that has its own meta that you would need to be worried about. But as far as like this cascading style, you really have to be cognizant of like how things are gonna fall, how you consider storms as part of all that fun stuff. It's definitely a thing. Alright, we're jumping into the Gnome Vault just because that's another fun thing actually with the new update. They said they're getting rid of selectable difficulties. Not in the next update, but in a future update beyond that. So, you know, your ability to do this vault fight, for instance, on normal difficulty is going to be gone. And I don't know what it's going to default to in that scenario, so it's actually going to be very interesting to see what ends up happening for that. I think the meta as far as like explore teams, gnome killing teams, and all that stuff's going to end up changing if that plays out the way that I think it might. Yeah, I played Puzzle Quest 1 and I think 2? I definitely played 1 all the way through. I feel like 2 I got some of the way through and didn't necessarily finish it. That feels right to me. But I mean, I'm such a sucker for like collectible games, so I mean, a game like this where there's tons of stuff to collect, level up, tons of resources to manage, all that kind of stuff, like, this is like my kind of game through and through. Like, it scratches all that like hardcore gaming itches that I have as far as how I like to play games or what types of games I like to play. So it's a very dangerous game for me, which is obviously why I've ended up spending like more money than I'd care to acknowledge in normal day-to-day circumstances. Even things like when's a good time to cast like a troll, for instance, like that was a really bad troll board because there wasn't enough gem connectivity, you could call it, where it's kind of like there wasn't a lot of gems near each other, so even though you double the board as far as the amount of greens on the board, the odds of that actually like looping the way it just did for me was actually very, very low in comparison to other boards where there's clusters. That plays into a lot of things as well. Yeah, those games are always amazing. Like, I'm obsessed with the matching games in general. I never played like Candy Crush or anything like that, but I could tell I would be someone that would theoretically get addicted to a game like that. Hey Tolu, how's it going, man? I honestly think a big reason I was saved from getting into something like Candy Crush is because Candy Crush had such a stigma with it, where it was kind of like everybody was getting into it, everybody was getting addicted to it, like it was kind of like this weird casual hardcore game that everyone was getting into. So like I kind of avoided it because I was a gaming hipster, I guess you could say. It's just like I didn't want to be playing this game that everybody else, like, you know, when my mom's playing it, like that's a sign that it's not really a cool game that I want to be associated with. But as far as I know, it was actually pretty fun. I'll just pop it. No. 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 Even though he was entangled, it still makes me sad. Ah, I was about to cast Armed Troop. Still no. The most green ever recorded in human history. I still don't think I've ever gotten into a scenario where I've literally filled the entire board with a single color. I feel like that's a goal of mine for sure. I just want to make it so the entire board is literally a single color. Maybe I've done it and I just don't remember, but it's definitely something I want to do. I don't know if I ever played Puzzle & Dragons. That feels like a game I got advertised about. Like, if it's the game that I think it is, hey Gustavo. If it's the game I think it is, it's like that ad that I would always see in this other game that I played, where there's like a dragon at the top of the screen and you have like heroes across the bottom and they all have spell abilities. And it seemed like the gems that you were matching at the bottom would like cause attacks to go up and hit the guy up there, if it's that game. I definitely saw that game. I might have downloaded it, but didn't really play it all that much. Just straight killed the dude, I didn't even see how. Oh yeah. I feel like this team will definitely move more dangerous to use though once we get a little higher up there. Good old wheel spin. I've been neglecting you guys. Such a bad streamer. How dare I? Well, that was a lucky match. Yeah, sure. None of that. Still none of that? I want to cast my Doomglaive. I'm like an impatient child. I'm like, give me my brown alignment. Now. I've been getting such bad boards for Leprechaun. Wow, that was lucky. Well, that was stupid lucky, but alright. Sounds like it's Duran Duran or something. What is going on? Am I crazy? This literally sounds like Duran Duran. Sure. They're all in kill range. Why not? I remember when Duran Duran came out with an album like when I was in college, and it was actually super good, and I was kind of shocked. One of the dudes in my dorm like recommended it to me, and I was like, what the hell? This is actually good? Then again, my taste in music is pretty random, so I don't imagine that was like a popular opinion. I mean, I have so many options as to what I could do here. Like, I very badly want to cast something besides Leprechaun. But Leprechaun it is. Oh yeah. That's a scary ass board. It's those kinds of situations where TPK actually really comes in handy, because if you create a bunch of junk on the board, as long as you're casting and getting a format, you kind of like clear the junk by default with someone like Possess King. It's another reason why I love the guy. It's kind of like he allows you to play a little more recklessly, like using those kinds of crazy combo stuff, and then not having to worry about the blowback that results from it. Or at least not have to worry about it as much, I should say. I mean... No. There's nothing there. Cast to that. So much almost goodness there. There we go. Created a nice little matchy for ourselves, even though we could have just literally killed him with anything. I mean, it's a tough call when it comes to like Possess King versus Iron Gut. Like, Iron Gut's gonna help you get resources out of delves, so you could certainly argue if like you're still in a building capacity, like Iron Gut's gonna help you just kind of in that way. It's one of those things where I think you'll end up using Possess King dramatically more than you would ever use Iron Gut, but at the same time, if you don't have the ability to be doing delves easily right now, I could easily see the case to be made for why you'd prefer Iron Gut in that scenario. You won't be sad, that's for sure. I don't think anyone's ever cried that they got a High King Iron Gut. I just always want to make sure people are treating Possess King as one of the boys. I pretty much will exclusively tell people to get TPK pretty much in every scenario if I can. Level 10 chest spin, let's go. Mythics? I don't want those. It's kind of sad that like I prefer to get legendary ingots over mythic ingots, because there's just never enough like mythic weapons to even worry or care about. It's kind of like, why would I want them? Wow, this wheel has been super testy lately. It's like almost given us a code a bunch of times. So like this is a somewhat like in terms of the number of green on the board, this is actually bad to be using this, but they're kind of clustered, so like there's a lot of opportunity for like in this quarter of the board. If like anything gets made in this quarter of the board, like I basically just need 2 to 3 gems to be in this quarter to make it, and there's a total of 6. So the odds are that this won't loop, but this is actually a decent chance that it could loop. Gotta think about that kind of stuff. I think I'll see if I can get a little more green on the board first though. Yeah, so now I got 2 more. Let's go for it. There we go. Yay for us. Even more yay for us. Bam! I I mean, if you didn't craft TPK after, I'd cry. I would definitely say something in guild chat too. I like that I'm building this reputation as like TPK's like pimp, like pretty much in every Reddit post that I see or Gems of War forum post or guild chat. Like if someone's talking about what they should be doing, it's like I just can't help myself from saying TPK and some kind of answer. Like even the someone today was talking about losing to like a Guardian Crown team or something like that in PvP. And I was just like, well, that's why you run TPK in every single team that you ever make. Because then you always have the transform chance if you need it. And it's like, I'm not wrong, but I'm clearly just being an annoying ass because I just want to mention TPK every time I can. Wow, that was almost terrible luck. Still no, but plenty of that. Still no? Oh, there it is. It's like, give me that Doomglaive. Huh? It's kind of an annoying starting board. Alright. More. Alright, good. More green. I was like, I need a little more green to feel good about casting that. Oh! You sad souls. You walked right into that. Thanks, Hardened Shell. I appreciate that, man. I try and make good stuff for you guys. I do my best. I think sometimes I fail more than others. I can't tell if it's a good sign that I'm starting to get more negative comments to appear on my channel. Like, some guy said that my music that I listen to is, the derogatory slur for homosexual people. And, I was just like smiling to myself because I'm just like, I get it, music's not for everybody. But it's kind of like, it's probably a sign that I'm growing because YouTube toxicity was initially nowhere on my channel and now it's starting to appear on my channel. And I'm basically assuming that that's because I'm growing and not because I just started sucking all of a sudden. That's what I'll tell myself at least, because otherwise it's just a horrible moment for me. And I also kind of get that some of the videos I made are a little cheeky, like my night guide video that I made more recently. It was like informative, but also like trolly a little bit in some capacity, so I could see how someone wouldn't appreciate something like that. I don't let it get me down though. As long as I feel like I'm doing a good enough job, like explaining things to people or giving people good ideas or information, then I have to suspect it's alright. But definitely let me know if I'm slipping. I think my next goal is I either need to get better with After Effects so I can make my like intro title cards a little bit more interesting, or I need to figure out how to do it in Premiere. Like I got my logo to spin in the videos now, but I'm still not totally happy. There's more cool things I want to be doing with it. That one. Oh, even better. Leave me all that delicious green mana. Nom 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 nom. So much almost goodness. I'll do that. There we go. Doomglaive. Hurrah! Bam! Let's get some more spinning going on. Sorry. Clearly being overly expressive with my gem matching here. There's none of that. I'll use that. Oh my god, the codes! Why would you do that? That's aggressive. I mean, I don't think anyone thinks TPK is bad. Like, I don't want to give the impression that people are out there saying, like, TPK isn't good. I just think I rate him a lot higher than other people do. And it also might just be like the way that I play the game might look a little different than the way other people play. Like I've noticed my team building philosophies might not be 100% in line with everybody else. A lot of that comes down to like opinions, consistency. This next Guild Wars will be very telling, I think, for me. But I'm glad you like the music, because I like my music. And also it's kind of like, it's hard to find, you know, royalty-free music that you can just be playing on stream. Like, I couldn't just be playing my iTunes playlist, for instance, because then I would just get all my videos copyright claimed and all that other fun stuff, so... This is kind of like, it's not a free service, but it's a service that plays music that I like that, hopefully other people like. At least in some capacity. Not all the songs are perfect, though. This one's maybe a little more aggressive than I would prefer. Yeah, I like Guild Wars. To me, Guild Wars is like the most interesting event that the game has, because it's player versus player in that context, so it's like, it's not the game just kind of like scaling in difficulty, trying to make it complicated for you. It's like other players actively trying to mess with you using all the mechanics the game has given us. So like, to me, it's like, if you're really good at Guild Wars, that means you have very effective gem matching strategy. It means you have like a really good handle on what the meta looks like and how to combat the meta. Like, to me, like, Guild Wars is the real test of like how good somebody is at this game. And that's a little bit unfair to say, admittedly, because someone just might not have like the troops to be making effective teams, but they have all the game strategy and team building prowess. So that's not necessarily like the best, but as far as like endgame events go, to me every single other event kind of feels very samey in the sense that it's like, you know, whenever you get an event, it's like, how am I going to use Mang? How am I going to use Trickster's Shot? How am I going to use Earth's Fury? Like, you know what the scaling troops that you can use are. Like, it's not really going to be dramatically different than every other event that you've done so far. Whereas like Guild Wars, it's going to be potentially extremely different every single time you do it. Yeah, Guild Wars is getting more and more complicated, and I have to believe that they're not necessarily balancing the game based on Guild Wars or anything like that. Like, I think there was a post very recently where they said something along the lines of, they don't see any reason to be nerfing Orb Weaver class because it's used, like, in a very low percentage of teams. And it's kind of like, well, when you think about that statement, in Guild Wars you can only put it on one of your defenses, so it's like, obviously, if people could, they would probably use, you know, they'd be using the life and death combo a lot more. So it's like, I don't know if that's the best stat to go off of. I think they were also looking at PvP stats, but it's also one of those things where it's like, it's not so busted that everyone's going to use it because it always wins. But that's why I put out like a life and death guide, for instance, like how do you fight against this thing? Like, when Life and Death meta first became a thing, I would say that I probably was losing to it about, like, I don't know if half the time is right, but I was definitely losing to it sometimes, and, like, more often than other teams. But then once you really think about, like, what kind of teams do you need to start building to counter a team that looks like that, or does those kinds of things, then you eventually just kind of get past it. So it's one of those scenarios where, like, nerfing it may not have been the right idea in the first place. It was more we just needed to figure out new strategies on how to combat it. So I don't know if I'd say it should be nerfed, but it's definitely a super dumb annoying kind of weapon. I mean, I'll be posting all the teams that I use for Guild Wars in our guild chat, at least. That's one of those things where I'm, like, somewhat cagey about posting my teams directly in my videos. Like, I've posted my defense teams because, like, that's really not a big secret. Like, you know, someone's gonna see my defense teams one way or another anyway, but my offense teams, like, that's a little bit touchier, because it's kind of like, I want to help the community, and I will help the community, but giving away all my attack teams potentially starts affecting how things actually work. So it's kind of that's a touchier thing, but I'll definitely always be sharing as much info as I possibly can. But yeah, I mean, definitely within your guild, make sure you're always trading around like what teams people are using, what teams are working. Sometimes people are very good at scouting out like what's going on. But I'm really looking forward to our guild getting into bracket 1. We're sitting in bracket 2 right now. We just came up from bracket 3. We were in bracket 2 before, and we moved down, and now we're back up. So at a minimum, bracket 2 feels like it's like sustainable for our guild, but I really think we can make it as far as bracket 1 goes. Like, even though Guild Wars isn't like the hardest requirement that our guild has as far as like events, we do exceptionally well in Guild Wars anyway, so that makes me very, very, very happy. But it's also the time that everybody gets super mad, like myself included sometimes. Like, it's the time where you have to really like check yourself to make sure you're not freaking out or getting unnecessarily angry or letting a loss like just destroy your day kind of thing. Because it's like, it's especially frustrating when like someone's using a team that you used and they report back, they're like, oh yeah, I went 5-0, no problem, and like you ended up going 4-1 or heaven forbid something worse than that. Like, it just feels awful. So yeah, I think Guild Wars is probably still like my favorite event that's out there, just because of those reasons. Like, it's always dynamic and interesting. It'll always be like the freshest of the events that we get access to. It would be interesting if they like expanded upon Guild Wars where it wasn't just like color restricted. Like, I would almost prefer to have a non-color restricted day and then a color restricted day. Like, you know, Guild Wars 1 week where it's just like no restrictions, make whatever teams you want, just to like prove out who's the best. Oh heck yeah, redeem codes. Look at that. The wheel totally works. Let me reward my faithful chat for tuning in. I kinda want browns and blues, but there's no real way to do it. Oh, that works. Yay. Bam. So much green. I mean, I already won. I just want to see a lot of green. Yay. I mean, sure. I like how I tilted my head as if I was a dog or something like that. Looking at my gym matches this way. If that's helping anything. There we go. This song's kind of fun if you're listening to it with headphones on. It's like bouncing between my ears. I always like when they do that. Pop it. Yay. Ooh, yay. I almost missed that. Bam. And bam. And bam. Are they gonna die anyway? Yeah, they're gonna die anyway. But with this fight, or this clear, we'll have completed at least the faction assault portion of the event. I haven't yet ever gone super hard on the events yet, as far as like trying to get leaderboards or something like that. I'm debating. I'm kind of at that point in my game where I could. I don't know if I have enough gems to really try though, because I imagine the people that are literally at the top of the leaderboards, like those people are probably dropping upwards of like 3,000 to 7,000 to 10,000 gems or something stupid like that in order to do it. So I don't think I'm quite at the point yet where I can really compete with the big boys in that regard. But I'm like getting close enough where it's like entering my mind. I totally shouldn't have grabbed that green match down there before. Rookie mistake. Hooray for that. Yeah, that's the thing. It's kind of like, I don't have the gem cache that like some people do. Like, I generally hover around like 3,000 these days, and that's gonna go up and up, but I mean, I'm not really at the point now where I've got like 20,000 gems I'm just sitting on. So it's like, I'm not at the point now where it would probably make a lot of sense. But I'm like in that in-between phase where I'm like kinda getting there, but I'm not quite there. Yay. Did not feel like dealing with that guy messing around my team. Aww. Yay. Kill him with that just for fun. So this is always something you gotta think about when you're doing faction assaults. Like, my Amanithrax Kingdom, for instance, is not 500 right now, so you could easily make the case, like, if I wanted to, I could be buying more tiers and then ultimately seeing if I could, like, max this now. But I don't think I'm really at the point right now where I want to be maxing Amanithrax, so I'll probably leave it alone. So after this one, I'll be done with my faction assault event. But if you're ever trying to, like, max a faction, for instance, faction assaults is the absolute best time to do it, because then you can get all the fun potion benefits for your all faction team. So that'll make it that much easier to actually clear it. So something to keep in mind if you're struggling to get your all faction team all the way up there, that this is like the time to do it for one of those things. Blue orb, please? No. It's the opposite of what I asked for. How dare they? Not quite there. Seals, not quite max. Don't have any orbs of clans. Wouldn't use it now anyway. On to the PvPs. The bug that's driving me nuts right now is the lack of tribute notifications. So like, I'm extremely consistent with like picking up tributes every single hour of the day. But now that the tribute notifications aren't there, I kind of have to like very actively think about when I'm going to collect them, since I've just learned to depend on the existing tribute notifications, which is making me a sad man. I hope they get that taken care of. I saw Kafka reply on the forums that they're kind of aware of it, but it almost read like they were not necessarily convinced that it was an issue yet, or like widespread just yet. So I hope they've kind of like picked up on it. I just want... Oh, I knew it. I knew he was going to dodge it. They just always do. I'm just looking for apothecary goodness right now. Not seeing it. So we'll just roll them dice with the Wild Queen. I'm just going to do this. I was like, there has to be alignment somewhere with that. Bam. Bam. Kind of into this song. I think the class that I'm most excited to get up to higher level right now is probably my War Priest, because that War Priest team that I showed in one of my videos semi-recently, it's actually pretty legit, and it would be so much more legit if I had the, what is it, the Enrage on 4/5s. If I had that, then that team would be popping off like even harder than it already does. And I really want to do it, because I don't hate War Priest as a class, and it's kind of given me a reason to like look back into it, which makes me a happy man. I was about to say, give me some matches. Oh, beautiful. Alright, so they're about to start doing scary stuff. Nope, not a fan of that. Let's just see if Apothecary's got any goodness. We do on blues. And we got Doomglaive setups for days. And that. I can just tell I like this song already. I haven't even heard all of it yet. Oh, I have heard this song before actually, I'm a liar. This was another topic that actually came up on the forums, was the whole notion of like, is PvP fun anymore? I think the answer is still like, PvP is less fun than it used to be, just because meta teams are kind of like dominating everything these days, so like this team is just going to be everywhere, which is kind of super frustrating. But I still think it's a very important thing to do, because... What? Oh, that was dumb. This just became super hard mode, because you kind of have to like practice your fighting of these annoying ass teams. So like you can't just ignore the fact that these meta teams exist. You're gonna have to fight them. This is such a bad scenario. I'm gonna eat one skull and hopefully that's it. Thank God the AI sucks. All right, here we go. Murder. Apothecary's up. Need an Apothecary. I'm not getting it. Oh, but we got Doomglaive. Yay. Need an Alright, good. I was like, I can't keep getting away with not having an Apothecary cast somewhere. Alright, we win. Yay for me. This is where we just go for pure embarrassment. No attack for you. I also want my Archer to 70, that's another short-term goal. I think I've gained 4 Archer levels just today, just by using Archer for like literally everything as much as I can. So that's always nice. Oh! That random match. No? Almost did that. Not tricking me. I don't want to do greens here, but I will, because there's nothing else. Greens are not the ideal thing to be converting with this team. And this is not an ideal time to be casting Wild Queen, but we're doing it. Oh, that lucky match. Bam. Good times for us. Do I do it again? We do it again? That's stupid. Why would we do it? Is that a Guardian Crown? I could be doing the Delves full on for the event. It's kind of like, do you want to be spending the gems now or be using those gems for something else? I've kind of convinced myself that, to me, the most important priority for the next 2 months is ensuring that I get the new mythics that are coming up. So I want to have a gem reserve, because if for whatever reason I can't get them with like the keys and whatnot that I have, I want enough gems that I could actually be cashing in on those things. So that's the reason I'm not going super hard on this, like Delve for instance, to get it to 500. I'm in a bad spot because he's going to grab this and bless this guy. So this is not a good time for me. I almost want to like create a skull match somewhere, but I can't do that anywhere either. Don't have the colors that I want. This is going to be bad though. Let's see how bad it gets. Well, now I've got this scenario going on. Also bad. Alright. Think we're okay-ish? The AI is so bad. Like, because he's entangled, the AI refuses to cast. And I don't know why they didn't cast this one when they had this here. Like, I understand why the AI is deciding not to cast these two right now, but I do not get why it has decided to not cast this one yet. This part's perplexing me a little bit. Because they had this game locked up if they wanted it. It's just sitting right there for them on a silver platter. I mean, I'll just cast this because I'll entangle this guy. Corsair's like kind of a weird class, admittedly. I don't like the class. Like, nothing the class does to me is interesting besides the fact that you get a crap ton of blue mana. Like, and when I think blue mana, I immediately think of Jar of Eyes, for instance, because Jar of Eyes is kind of like the default, you know, blue mana maker, as far as I'm concerned. So it's kind of like, it's a very weird class. Oh, they just messed up and they don't even know. I need to mess around with it, but it's kind of like when I'm running a Jar of Eyes team, for instance, like, mana is never really an issue. Because, like, I'm already creating so much blue mana that I can't imagine running a class that specifically makes more blue mana than other classes is gonna, like, edge me out. Like, it's gonna be magically that much better because I did it with a Corsair versus, like, some other class. So that's kind of like, I'm not sure what to make of them yet. But on paper, the Corsair class, besides the blue mana thing, is kind of like nothing to talk about, really. Just kind of sad. Like, there's nothing else it really brings to the table that makes you want to consider it over other classes. But I will level the class up to 70 eventually, just because, heaven forbid, if there's ever like a meta team that requires specifically to get that kind of mana quickly, I'm not gonna miss out. That was a misclick of the best kind. Totally did not do that on purpose. But here we are, doing some cool stuff. I mean, this is a really good Wild Queen board. Can't pass it up. Are you talking like a Skeleton Key team? Is that what you're talking about, or is there some other team that you were using? Zula's something that I didn't think I would actually be saving forever, but I recently got enough orbs to create 2 orbs of power, so I don't know. It's maybe. Like, I got very lucky with some of my drops. And instead of doing my normal just like use them casually thing, I decided I was going to actually create orbs of power because I'm very good at spending my resources when I get them. Ow. That was a bad time. Oh, no. Is there really nothing? There's like almost something everywhere, but there's actually nothing. Well, that was convenient. Don't think that helped us yet, though. Kinda really want some alignment here. Alright, let's start turning Apothecary into a murderer. Nothing there. That's not it. Oh, yeah, that'll match, actually. Just keep going on the Apothecary murder spree. Hey, how's it going, Goober? Long time no see, man. Oh, this team looks all kinds of evil. Was that Jar? Yeah. That team on paper is scary, but I had a very decent starting board for what I'm trying to do. I would love to be able to cast my Doomblade now, though, because that is going to pop a lot of good stuff. I'm going to get caught in this Jar of Eyes loop. Oh, good. Survived it. Oh, this chunk right here is so upsetting. I mean, let's just go hard mode. Still no, still no. Let's just try again. Still no. There we go. It's like we have to be getting it eventually. No. Decent? Oh, what? Not stealthy? You silly person. Why would you not run that with a stealthy class? I mean, I think we cast that on Zula just because. I'm gonna cast that just because. Bam. Yeah, I think people, now that we've more or less figured out Life and Death, like, Life and Death defense teams are a little less frequent. Like, to me, I would always advise, like, make sure your attack teams that you're using are just, you know, able to beat Life and Death just as readily as they can any other team, and then you've got a nice PvP farming team. Like, it's kind of a requirement at this point. Like, you need to be able to do either damage insanely quickly, or you need some kind of extra survivability. Like, actually the easiest counter that I found was just Divinia of all troops. Like, having Divinia on your team basically just makes every Life and Death cast, like, null and void. You just get rid of the entire, like, the damage part of it, you get rid of the actual, you know, the damage it did, the debuffs it put out. Like, you basically just don't fear that team at all as long as you have Divinia. And then you just need to make sure you have enough damage on your team that you can get them down. But Divinia kind of makes Life and Death very trivial, which is pretty cool. I kind of really want to cast Apothecary. Well, that wasn't cool of you at all. One of the other sneaky benefits of the Wild Queen that probably not a lot of people think about is that the amount of abuse you can do to the AI, because the AI is like programmed to really prioritize skulls, but if you've reduced their attack by a bunch, they're still going to pick up those skulls even though it doesn't make sense for them to actually do it. So like it kind of increases your win rate by default because you're making them suck at like doing damage with skulls, but they're gonna pick them up anyway. It's kind of this like AI abuse thing that I always talk about. Lesser known thing. I mean, I think Gob Truffle's really amazing. I actually fought a team today that was really caught me off guard. It was using like a very basic goblin. I think it was like Goblin Shaman, maybe? It was a goblin that was like creating or converting green mana. I have to check and see which one it was. But it was using that in conjunction with Gob Truffle and a couple other troops. But it ended up just looping me to death right away, which was actually surprising. Like, I was very happy that it happened because it was a team that I'd never fought before, and I clearly did not respect it enough to pay attention to what it was actually doing to try and prevent it. So that's kind of one of those, like, it gives you hope that there's still interesting team building concepts going on out there. I was not the right troop to do that to. But oh well. Yeah, it looked like Goblin Shaman. I assumed it was. It's like a goblin that I never really see. But the team was actually really good. Like, once the team started doing its thing, like, there wasn't really anything I could be doing. Like, without a freeze on my team, like, it was just gonna do its thing and I had no chance. Like, it reminded me of the old school, you know, like No Ben Brothers, Princess Fizzbang, Grapple Pot, Goblin King kind of team where it was just like, once that team starts looping, it won't stop, but the easiest way to beat it is just to freeze somebody. So I mean, I was not ready. But it was exciting, because it was a team I'd never fought before, it wasn't meta, he was using a new troop, like, there's tons of cool stuff about that. That's kind of why I love Guild Wars so much. You just run into cool stuff like that, especially in the really high brackets, like, you're just going to run into defense teams that are really going to make you think. So it's definitely pretty cool. This might... no. I was gonna say, this might win the award for, like, worst starting board I've seen in a long time. But we're fine. A single match is all we require. And then we can do our fun stuff, because Possess King makes the board the way we want. Not the most advisable cast, but we do it anyway. Well, now they're sad. They're just gonna die on turn 1? Is that happening? That is quite possibly happening. Oh, it's... oh, there it is. I love those turn 1 kills. That's how you know your team's good. If you can win on turn 1, you have an effective team. So if you can win on turn 1, that means you could theoretically win on any single turn that you possibly have. This is a team you gotta really pay attention to when you're fighting. So I've basically got like 1 turn or 2 turns to get enough mana to do something. Otherwise I'm gonna be in trouble. Yellow. I mean, I don't even really have to do this, but in case they cast Superior first, let's just get all that out of the way now. And then I'm the one doing the skull damage. Haha! Gotcha! Ah, the Archer class. Those sick one-shots. And now this team is just a sad, sad peen. Well, I was not paying attention that they had full mana, but that's fine. I mean, it's less fine now, but I'm still not gonna lose. Yeah, they're dead. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where I always have to let people know what's good inside the event keys. It's kind of like there's troops in there that are worth grabbing, so it's kind of one of those things where, you know, I've got to let people know. I could theoretically start trying to be a lot more prescriptive about, you should save it for this, you should save it for that, but, you know, if I'm starting to play that game, I could just be telling people, like, constantly to never spend any resources. Because I would argue any keys that you're, like, opening right now are really bad ideas, because the new mythics that are coming out are so good that you do not want to risk missing them. So, I mean, if somebody misses out on the new mythics that are coming out, I feel like they're going to be at a pretty big disadvantage. Like, the Aquaticus guy is basically like Water in Furnace, and the one that comes after that, the Undead guy, he's going to be like also a very scary kind of troop. So, I mean, it's tough. Something that I could do as I'm talking out loud, I could just theoretically show everybody, like, here's the upcoming kingdoms and, like, weapons that are Soulforge, like, craftable in the upcoming, you know, kingdoms or faction assaults, like, give them a little bit of a future look, so that way they can maybe decide for themselves if they want to be spending something somewhere or not. I could theoretically do that. I might do that. I'll have to think about that a little bit. Don't like this board. Yeah. Alright. Think we're fine. Just kind of want to get the storm green, like I want it to be. Actually, I don't know. Is this going to work? Totally works. I wasn't sure if Bless was going to stop the attack stealing component of that. I mean, it's just dead regardless. I mean, meme reasons are like the best reasons you can have. Like, why wouldn't you, right? Speaking of memes, 4 times Sharky up in this business. I want different mana. No. Nothing, huh? Still nothing? Does the game not want brown mana to fall? In any capacity? Making it impossible for me to start doing cool stuff? Still no? I mean, at this point I'm just like frustration Wild Queen casting instead of being patient. It's like, my god. Ah! Almost missed that. No. But at least we have that. I'm also playing this so carefully for some reason, even though it's like a meme Sharky team. It's like, whatever. Can't help myself. I think? Oh no, we're still not there yet. How close are we? We're like 3 fights away from being able to do a legendary task. I think I'll actually probably call the stream once I get there. So we've got a little bit of time left with all you fine, beautiful people. But if there was any other random questions, things you wanted to hear me rant about, personal stories you want me to tell, let me know. Now's the time. I love how impatient I am. I would never advise anybody cast that right there. I just do it myself because I'm bored. That was also a terrible decision. But it was a great decision. Fortune favors the bold, etc. I want... Stop hurting me. I mean, I could just do that. Almost? No, there it is. I was like, come on. It's possible, honestly. Like, to me, the Corsair class, like, the thing that's nice about it is that, so, like, for instance, when you're running Mountain Crusher, you know that you're always, like, potentially 1 mana match away from, getting it full, but sometimes you don't, like if you don't get a Surge, for instance. Whereas if you're running Corsair class and running a Jar of Eyes, like, you get enough bonus mana that you can basically assure that you get it if you put together the right kind of team. So, like, from a consistency perspective, it could actually be very, very valuable in that respect. So, I do think there is value to the class. It's just, to me, it's kind of like a class that just gets mana efficiently is not necessarily a super exciting class to be, but I could totally see how it would enable things that are good to do. It's also kind of just, like, frustrating that I know that in order for me to actually start to play around with that stuff, I would have either needed to spend all the gems before or during the class event to get it up, or I need to spend a lot of time now, like, investing into that class, leveling it up. So, I mean, I've switched my pet teams, or at least some of my pet teams, to be Corsair now versus like Thief, which is just what I generally passively upgrade when I'm doing pet rescue events, but I will get it there. But until you get it to 70, you're not necessarily taking the best advantage of it. You're getting definitely some advantage out of just the +2 passive trait, but there's more you could be doing with it until it's 70. Yeah, to me Jar of Eyes is like the Corsair weapon, basically, because it's such like a blue spammy kind of thing. I think Scotty also has potential, since it's always making ice storms for you, so you could be using other weapons potentially that just do exploding kind of stuff. Although Scotty isn't really like the best troop, so I wouldn't really recommend trying to build around Scotty, but I could see Scotty lineups having a little more value with a Corsair, for instance. Wow. That was a lot of gem bouncing in my favor. Oh man, those alignments making that fight nice and easy for me. Thank you, game. Oh, Possessed King, relax. We already won. They're already dead. Alright. Well, with that, I think we'll end this stream there since we got that LT for the guild. Let's see if we got anything fancy. I've still yet to get my guild to Mythic. It's making me sad. Today's not the day. But we will in the future. But yeah, thank you guys for hopping in the stream as always. So I'm always trying to stream, certainly on Tuesdays. I think Sunday mornings is also like a definite. So from a schedule point of view, I think you can always look forward to like a Tuesday evening, Sunday morning schedule at a very, very minimum. And then I might potentially try and squeeze Thursdays in there as well. So if you're looking for me streaming, certainly Sunday morning is kind of the time, and then Tuesday evenings is definitely the time. But again, feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the fun video, all that other kind of good stuff. I even have like a store out there now. You can actually buy merch with my crap on it if you feel like it. You can also donate to the channel. I'm just kind of messing around with all the options I have as far as the streamer goes. But yeah, that's everything that I got for you guys today. So thanks again for tuning in. I love all of you, and I'll see you next time. Mwah.